Will you sponsor me in a bike-a-thon? It's for a good cause.
Well, sure.
Hey, Armin, put on some tunes. Let's eat to the beat.
You got it, 3J.
What's Uncle Carl doing with the peanut helmet?
Well, he's gonna use it for 30 days, then send it back.
The tragic fate of Richie from Family Matters is finally being revealed. Bryton James was America's sweetheart, playing the adorable Richie Crawford for 8 seasons. He was set for a lifetime of success until Hollywood's child star curse caught up with him.
I didn't have an opinion of myself as an actor because I had never thought about myself as being good at acting.
By 2025, he had filed for his second divorce in just over a decade, and the industry never bothered to give him the leading man roles he deserved. Bryton James was trapped playing the same character for 20 years, essentially erased from Hollywood's A-list conversation.
Yeah, I don't think I would get married again because I have different ideas about the institution of marriage and where it comes from and what it's about.
This is the story of how the entertainment industry destroys child stars who refuse to disappear quietly. So, let's get into it. Bryton Eric McClure was born on August 17, 1986 in Lakewood, California, to Eric McClure and Bette McClure, and raised in nearby Fullerton. His father Eric was a musician, songwriter, and music producer who exposed young Bryton to the entertainment industry from birth. By age 2, Bryton was already appearing in commercials and magazine advertisements, including a notable shoot with Michael Jackson that hinted at his future in show business. The entertainment industry discovered Bryton's natural charisma and photogenic quality almost immediately. His early commercial work included national campaigns that showcased not just his adorable appearance, but an innate ability to take direction and perform on cue. Skills that would prove invaluable as his career progressed. Unlike many child actors who struggle with the demands of professional sets, Bryton seemed to thrive in the structured environment of television production. At age 4, Bryton landed the role that would define his childhood and early career: Richie Crawford on the ABC/CBS sitcom Family Matters.
I got on Family Matters when I was 3 and a half.
Initially introduced in Season 2 as the adorable nephew of the Winslow family, Richie became an integral part of the show's dynamic, providing both comic relief and heartwarming family moments that balance the series' more outrageous Steve Urkel storylines. Over the show's 9-season run from 1989 to 1998, Bryton appeared in over 200 episodes, growing up literally before America's eyes. Viewers watched him transition from a cute 4-year-old to a teenager, experiencing the same awkward phases and growth spurts as the audience's own children. This created an unprecedented bond between Bryton and families across America, who felt like they were watching their own relative mature on screen.
Ben's homeless. I invited him to live with us.
The success of Family Matters during its peak years in the early to mid-1990s was extraordinary. The show consistently ranked in the top 20 most watched programs on television, making it one of the most successful African-American family sitcoms in television history. For young Bryton, this meant growing up in the spotlight with a level of recognition that few child actors ever experience. But this early success came with hidden costs that wouldn't become apparent until years later. While his peers were experiencing normal childhoods, playing sports, attending school dances, and forming typical teenage friendships, Bryton was working professional hours on a television set. The discipline required for maintaining consistent performance quality over 8 seasons taught him professionalism, but it also meant sacrificing many of the experiences that help young people develop their individual identities. By the time Family Matters concluded its run in 1997, Bryton was 11 years old and had spent more than half his life as a professional actor.
Rich, have you made up your bed yet?
Yep. But if you want to talk to Aunt Harriet alone, I can always go make it again.
The show's end marked not just the conclusion of a successful series, but the beginning of a challenging transition that would test everything he had learned about resilience, reinvention, and survival in an industry that notoriously discards child stars once they lose their youthful appeal. The foundation had been laid for both extraordinary opportunity and devastating typecasting that would define the next phase of his career. When Family Matters ended in 1997, 11-year-old Bryton James faced a challenge that destroys most child actors, transitioning from beloved kid character to serious adult performer. Unlike many former child stars who struggle with this shift, Bryton made a deliberate decision to step away from acting entirely, recognizing that he needed to experience life as a normal teenager before attempting to restart his career. The hiatus from 1997 to 2004 was both strategic and necessary. Bryton finished his education, traveled through Europe, and explored other interests including music. He released his first single, "Ooh, the Way I Feel About You," on German television and performed on Disney Channel and other networks, testing whether he could build a career outside of acting. This period of exploration was crucial for developing an identity separate from Richie Crawford, something many child stars never achieve. But when Bryton returned to acting in 2004, he discovered that Hollywood had not evolved in its treatment of former child stars. Despite his talent, maturity, and years of professional experience, casting directors still saw him primarily as Richie from Family Matters. The typecasting was so severe that he struggled to get auditions for roles that didn't specifically call for former child actors. The breakthrough came when he landed the role of Devin Hamilton on CBS's The Young and the Restless in June 2004. At 17 years old, Bryton was taking on one of daytime television's most challenging character types, a troubled teenager from a broken home who would eventually become one of the show's central figures. The role required him to handle complex storylines involving drug addiction, family dysfunction, and eventually romance and business intrigue. Devin Hamilton's character arc represented both an opportunity and a trap for Bryton's career. On the positive side, the role allowed him to demonstrate dramatic range far beyond what Family Matters had required. He tackled storylines involving hearing loss, adoption trauma, inheritance scandals, and complicated romantic relationships with a maturity that impressed both critics and longtime soap opera fans.
Stitch gave me a clean bill of health, and I'm off pain meds, so...
However, the success of his soap opera work created a new form of typecasting. While Bryton was no longer seen as just a child actor, he was now pigeonholed as a soap opera star. Despite his obvious talent and screen presence, primetime television, major films, and streaming platforms largely ignored him. The entertainment industry's compartmentalization meant that success in daytime television rarely translated to opportunities in more prestigious formats. The frustration was compounded by watching contemporaries from his generation, actors who had started their careers around the same time, transition successfully into leading roles in major films and primetime series. While Bryton was delivering Emmy Award-winning performances on The Young and the Restless, actors with less experience and arguably less talent were becoming household names in more visible projects. The irony was particularly painful because Bryton's childhood fame should have been an advantage. He had name recognition, proven acting ability, and a built-in fan base from Family Matters. But instead of leveraging these assets, the industry seemed determined to keep him confined to the specific roles that had already proven successful. First, the cute kid, then the soap opera star. By 2010, it became clear that Bryton's career trajectory was being limited not by lack of talent or ambition, but by an industry that refused to see beyond his established personas. While Bryton James found professional stability on The Young and the Restless, his personal life began experiencing the turbulence that often accompanies early fame and the pressure of maintaining a public image. His 20-year tenure as Devin Hamilton brought critical acclaim, including 2 Daytime Emmy Awards, Outstanding Younger Actor in 2007, and Outstanding Supporting Actor in 2020. But it also revealed the psychological toll of being typecast in an industry that refused to see his full potential.
How does it feel being nominated?
Feels great. It feels great. It's just as of an honor as the last times. Never gets old.
The role of Devin Hamilton was both blessing and curse. The character's evolution from troubled foster teen to billionaire music mogul allowed Bryton to showcase dramatic range, handling storylines that included hearing impairment, family trauma, romantic complications, and corporate intrigue. Some of the show's most controversial storylines involved Devin, including romantic entanglements that pushed the boundaries of daytime television's traditional moral framework. But success in daytime television came with unique pressures. Unlike primetime actors who film seasons with breaks between projects, soap opera performers work year-round, sometimes filming multiple episodes per day. For Bryton, this meant spending his entire adult life, from age 17 to 39, playing essentially the same character, with limited opportunities to explore other creative outlets or develop different aspects of his acting abilities. The personal cost became apparent in his romantic relationships. In 2011, at age 25, Bryton married Ashley Leisinger in a ceremony officiated by his Young and the Restless co-star Christian LeBlanc.
The reason I told her is because I didn't want Claire to take a deeper dive into what really happened. Because that is a story that neither of us wants to get out.
The marriage seemed to represent stability and maturity, but it also revealed the challenges of maintaining a private life while living under public scrutiny since childhood. The marriage lasted 3 years, ending in divorce in 2014. In later interviews, Bryton would reflect on how getting married at 25 meant he had never experienced true independence or single adult life. The divorce was amicable, and Bryton spoke openly about learning from the experience, but it also marked the beginning of a pattern that would define his adult relationships. The struggle to balance public expectations, personal growth, and the unique pressures that come with having been famous since childhood. Following his divorce, Bryton began dating his Young and the Restless co-star Brittany Sarpy, who played Elena Dawson. Their on-screen chemistry translated into a real-life relationship that lasted several years and included living together. The relationship seemed to offer the kind of understanding that only comes from someone who shares the unique experience of soap opera stardom. But even this relationship, which appeared stable and supportive, eventually ended.
I think that you and Nate probably belong together. There's obviously something there.
The pattern suggested deeper issues related to Bryton's struggle to establish an identity separate from his professional persona. Having worked continuously since age 2, with only a brief break in his teens, he had never developed the psychological tools that most people acquire during extended periods of privacy and self-discovery. The professional success continued. He earned multiple Emmy nominations and became one of daytime television's most respected performers. But the personal struggles hinted at the price of a life lived entirely in the public eye, with expectations and limitations that had been established when he was just 4 years old. In 2019, Bryton James seemed to have found love again with fellow actress Brittany Sarpy, his co-star on The Young and the Restless. Their relationship blossomed both on screen and off, as Sarpy played Elena Dawson, Devin Hamilton's love interest. The couple moved in together in 2020, and their social media presence suggested a stable, supportive partnership between two people who understood the unique pressures of soap opera stardom. But by 2021, Bryton's perspective on relationships had fundamentally shifted. In a candid interview on Maurice Benard's State of Mind podcast, he revealed a more pessimistic outlook.
Yeah, I don't think I would get married again because I have different ideas about the institution of marriage and where it comes from and what it's about.
Despite these reservations, Bryton's relationship with Sarpy continued until 2023. When it ended, many fans were surprised, as the couple had appeared happy and committed. The breakup occurred around the same time that Sarpy's character was written off the show, leading to speculation about whether professional and personal complications had become intertwined. Meanwhile, Bryton's professional frustrations were mounting. Despite 2 Emmy wins and consistent critical praise for his work on The Young and the Restless, Hollywood continued to ignore him for major roles. He diversified into voice acting, contributing to animated series like Young Justice, Star Wars, Rebels, and Hero Factory. But these projects, while creatively satisfying, didn't elevate his profile in the way that primetime or film roles would have. The entertainment industry's evolution during the 2010s and 2020s made Bryton's situation even more painful. Streaming platforms were creating unprecedented opportunities for actors to break out of typecasting, and social media allowed performers to build direct relationships with fans. Yet somehow, Bryton remained trapped in the same character he had played for nearly 2 decades. His attempts at broader recognition included working on a Family Matters animated reboot, which he described as getting pretty far along, with production company backing and cast support before stalling at Warner Brothers. The project represented both his desire to honor his past and his frustration with being unable to move beyond it. In March 2025, Bryton shocked fans by quietly marrying Jaheira Myers, a professional dancer who had performed with Beyoncé during her Cowboy Carter tour. The marriage was so private that many fans didn't know it had happened until the divorce filing became public. But the marriage lasted only 3 months. By June 2025, the couple had separated, and in October 2025, Bryton filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The divorce terms were stark: no spousal support for either party, and a request that Jaheira restore her former name. The brief marriage suggested that despite his previous statements about not wanting to marry again, Bryton was still seeking the kind of personal connection that had eluded him throughout his adult life. The pattern was becoming clear: professional success without personal fulfillment, stability without growth, recognition without respect from the industry that had shaped his entire identity. By 2025, the tragic truth about Bryton James's fate had become undeniable. He was a casualty of an entertainment industry that creates child stars, but has no infrastructure for helping them transition to meaningful adult careers. At 39, he had achieved more professional longevity than most actors ever experience, yet he remained essentially trapped in the same character he had been playing since age 17.
And if you're trying to hold back because you don't want to flaunt a new relationship in my face, or you think there's a chance at us getting back together, I don't want you to do that.
The recent divorce filing revealed the depth of his personal struggles. Court documents showed a man desperately seeking connection, but unable to sustain it, requesting that his wife of 3 months revert to her former name and waiving any claims to spousal support. The language suggested someone who had given up on the traditional markers of adult success: lasting marriage, family, financial interdependence, that most people his age take for granted. The most heartbreaking aspect of Bryton's situation is how his early success became his ultimate limitation. Family Matters made him one of the most recognizable child actors of the 1990s. But that recognition became a ceiling rather than a foundation. While contemporaries like Ryan Gosling, Justin Timberlake, and Scarlett Johansson successfully transitioned from child entertainment to A-list stardom, Bryton remained frozen in time, forever associated with a character he had outgrown decades earlier. His continued success on The Young and the Restless paradoxically made his situation worse. The steady employment and critical recognition created the illusion of career health, but it actually prevented him from taking the risks necessary to break out of typecasting. Each Emmy nomination reinforced his identity as a soap opera star rather than opening doors to other opportunities. The industry's treatment of Bryton reflects broader problems with how Hollywood handles diversity and child star transitions. While the entertainment business has made progress in representing different communities on screen, it has shown little interest in nurturing the careers of performers like Bryton, who represent both racial diversity and the complexities of growing up in the public eye. His charitable work with organizations like RADD Kids and NOYS demonstrates the person he might have become if the industry had allowed him to develop naturally. His advocacy for youth safety and his mentorship activities suggest someone with wisdom and perspective that could have translated into meaningful leadership roles, either on screen or behind the scenes. The failed Family Matters reboot represents a missed opportunity for both Bryton and the industry. An animated version could have allowed him to revisit his most famous character while demonstrating creative control and mature perspective. The fact that the project stalled at Warner Brothers suggests institutional indifference to both nostalgia properties and the career development of former child stars. The tragic fate of Richie from Family Matters is not dramatic death or scandal, but something more insidious. The slow erasure of potential, the gradual narrowing of possibilities, and the realization that early success can be just another form of imprisonment. Bryton James remains alive, working, and professionally respected, but the person he might have become, the leading man, the director, the producer, the father, was sacrificed to maintain the illusion of the adorable child who captured America's heart 30 years ago. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.